This is Planning Board for June 26th, 2024. Pam, can you go ahead and take attendance, please?
Sure. Michael Gore,
Here.
Robert Romer,
Here.
Austin Groner,
Here.
Michael Lau,
Here.
and members Eric Nyland and James Barr are absent.
Okay, our first item of business tonight is a public hearing for a scenic road bylaw for 22 West Berlin Road. Do we have someone, the applicant? And Pam, do you need to read anything for this?
Yeah, we should read the public hearing notice. I'll pull it up on the screen. Do you want me to read it?
Sure, go ahead. Thanks.
In accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40, Section 15C, Scenic Road, and Section 250-24, the Bolton zoning bylaws for scenic roads, the Town of Bolton Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, June 26, 2024 at 7 p.m. via Zoom communications regarding an application from Stephen Daly for the proposed removal of approximately 75 feet of stone wall from Lot 3, West Berlin Road, assessing map 004B-0004. The application and plans are available for review at the Town Hall, 663 Main Street, between the hours of Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 and 2:30, and Tuesday, 9 to 4, and also on the town website at www.townofbolton.com. This public hearing will be conducted via remote participation pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, MGL Chapter 30A, Section 18. Login information is provided below and is posted to the town calendar on the homepage of Bolton's website at www.townofbolton.com. It's preceded by the Zoom information, and this was also advertised in the Bolton Independent on June 13th and June 20th.
Thanks, Pam. For anyone interested, I dropped the link to some of the material for tonight for the photographs and driveway plan into the group chat there. Okay, do we have someone from the applicant here? Pam, do you know if anyone's planning to come?
They were planning to come. They I wonder if they're having problems muting. They're Robert Bush. I don't know if they represent the applicant or they're in a butter.
No, but it turns out, at least when I found that the link is defective. The link showed as HTTS, not HTTPS. And if they weren't smart enough to put the P in, they won't be here.
The link on the
website, on the town website.
For the Zoom meeting or for the application?
For this Zoom meeting. When you try clicking on the link, it doesn't work. And then I finally looked at it closely and I could see that it didn't have the proper formatting. So I added the P and I got here. But anybody else who wasn't clever enough to pick up on that would have a problem.
Yeah, I used the link from the email you sent, Pam. So that one was
it
correct.
should be the same one from the agenda. Oh,
So on
checking right now.
The town calendar website, I don't actually see a link on there.
Yeah, the website didn't have the link. In fact, it sort of dead ended. But if you go to, I think it was in the email itself, was where I found the link with the incorrect HTTPS.
Oh, the one that goes out to all residents.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find it here real quick. Yeah, in the email sent out at 6:24 at 12:19 p.m.
Yeah, it's on the agenda and without the P in there.
That is correct. That email is defective. And that's the only place that I found the link anywhere, because it's not on the website. I started the town website and it didn't get you there.
Yeah, it's on the agenda in the public hearing notice, but the agenda has it incorrect. But the public hearing notice, it was mailed and emailed to the applicant, so they should have it. Let me check.
Oh, hang on. It looks like Brandon is on here now.
Oh, yeah, there he is.
Think you're muted.
Sorry about that. Yeah, my computer decided 2 minutes before the meeting was a good time to restart.
Okay. Hey, Brandon, do you want to go ahead and give an overview of the project here?
Sure. You want me to share my screen?
That'd be great.
You should be okay too.
Okay. All right. All right, Brandon Ducharme here on behalf of Stephen Maureen Daly, and we filed an application for a scenic road for a driveway opening. And there's a few things happening here. The main address is 22 West Berlin Road, just towards the right side of the page, northeast direction. Berlin Road just comes out onto Wattaquatic Hill Road. This is the existing farmhouse with a barn, and there's a small cottage out in the back. And I know that we've been before you guys with an A&R plan that's subdivided off a lot that's on the southwest side of the existing house. We've gone through, we've got a Board of Health permit, and in the process of pulling a building permit. And one of the last steps here is to file for the driveway opening through the scenic road process. Obviously, West Berlin Road is a scenic road. And then there's a couple other things happening with the existing farmhouse. Just to kind of give an overview here, you got West Berlin Road. The house here going back is number 22 with the barn in the back. And then as you go towards the left side of the page, the new home is proposed about, I would say, 350 feet back from the side of the road. And what we've done here, I'm just going to go to another view. So there's a couple things happening. Obviously, how the stone wall and everything looks is obviously very important to our client as well. These two pictures here show there's two existing curb cuts for the existing house. The top picture kind of shows the left-hand side is like a flat, more of a modern wall. And then directly in front of the house is more of a granite block. Again, that's just kind of a look at the existing farmhouse. You can see the granite blocks. That driveway entrance that's to the right of the house, they're looking to eliminate that portion of the driveway. So they're going to carry the wall across there. And then just to the right of the driveway, what they'd like to do is open up a 14-foot wide opening just to allow, if anyone's familiar with this property, it's a fairly large agricultural field that is currently hayed. So they just want to have more of a farm entrance there that'll come in off the road and just provide access for tractors. And again, this is kind of just an aerial shot. You can see the existing house. You can see the two existing curb cuts. And then this kind of roughly shows where the proposed opening is going to be. And then this picture here just shows you this is the point in which the driveway will go through the wall. You can see there's an existing tree off to the left that's going to remain in place. So as we just kind of come back to our plan, now that you just have an idea. So you'll see the driveway comes in here. It's going to be about a 40-foot wide opening. And what we're proposing to do, which we've done in the past, is to open up that 40-foot opening, use the approximately, let's just say 20 feet on each side, just to kind of open it up and restore those roundings on either side of the driveway. You can see here, that's where we're proposing the 14-foot opening for the farm use. And then from that point all the way across to the secondary curb cut, they're going to restore that with a dry laid fieldstone retaining wall. And again, as you go towards the north side, the Wattaquatic Hill Road side, they're going to remove that existing flat face wall and restore that with a dry stone wall, fieldstone wall, just to restore the more historic aesthetics for the existing farmhouse. So at this
Brandon,
point,
there's a note on lot 2 which says you're gonna remove 14 feet of fieldstone wall. Can you clarify what that's for?
yeah, so that's what I was referring to.
Okay.
Is basically they're gonna open that up for farm access. So there's
Okay.
not gonna be, they're gonna close up the driveway, remove that portion of pavement, and they're just gonna open up a 14-foot opening that's gonna kind of be like just a gate opening for the farm equipment to get in and out, to get access to the barn that has doors on that southerly side.
Thanks for that, Minden. So is it lot 3? Is that what's over on the left? Yeah, lot 3. So I think that opening is pretty straightforward. This is more of a question, Pam. So I don't know that we've had a scenic road hearing when we're talking about part of a road, in this case, the granite slabs in front of lot 2, that clearly aren't historic. Do they still fall under this bylaw?
No, it's specific to the fieldstone.
Okay.
Yeah, that's more of a retaining wall type block structure. It's, yeah.
So, and
Right.
part of the reason we've included
Um,
it in the filing is, obviously, as it can be viewed in part as mitigation for the openings that we're going to do, that we're actually going to create some additional historic looking fieldstone wall there.
No, I think that'll look nice. The granite does look weirdly out of place on that property. So this was kind of noticed at 75 feet, and Pam, you and I spoke a little bit earlier about kind of what's the actual amount of stone wall that's going to be taken away from here. So
Yeah, I scaled
Brandon,
it off. I scaled it off wrong. It's only 40 feet from radius to radius.
okay. And so I don't know, Brandon, could you kind of zoom in on that and sort of just show what where the opening is and
Sure. So as you kind of zoom in here, you can see because of the radiuses, it's going to be 45 feet at the wall face. And then, as we basically move those inward to create the roundings, it's a 12-foot wide driveway. And we're just basically providing for like a 6-foot shoulder on either side that'll be there once you get in off the road.
okay. To be clear, the 40 feet is from basically the start of the curve on the road
Yeah.
on each
So
side.
yep, like right here and then right here. Yep.
Yep. Okay.
And that's just, again, just to open it up wide enough to be able to get, larger vehicles, moving vans, oil trucks, that kind of stuff off the road. It's
Yep.
a narrow road. So just to complete that turning movement.
No, definitely makes sense. Okay. Anyone on the board have questions or comments?
No, it actually looks like an improvement in front of the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that too.
It's always looked a little odd.
Yeah.
Anyone in the audience have questions or comments? You can raise your hand or unmute if you can do that.
Bob Bush disappeared.
I'm here, no comment. I was
Okay.
just curious to see what was going on. I followed this property quite a bit for the historical commission. I'm just
Okay.
interested in what's happening.
That was my
Okay.
thought.
Okay, if no one has any additional questions, so Pam, we're gonna modify the 75 feet down to 40. We'll do that after we close the hearing, or do you want to do that?
Yeah, I would just approve it subject to the plans submitted by David E. Ross Associates dated May 2024 for a driveway plan owned by Stephen Daly located on West Berlin Road, because we do want to include that technically that 14 feet that's being taken out is fieldstone, and it is jurisdictional under the scenic bylaw as well.
Okay.
So
And has this been subdivided off? Is this all because it's all considered one property? It's okay to do them both together?
yeah, it was A&R'd, but we still have it listed under, in terms of advertising, we still have it listed under one assessing map and parcel
Okay, in that case,
and as one
I will,
address.
okay, great. I will make a motion to close the hearing for 22 West Berlin Road, the scenic road hearing.
Second.
Second.
Michael Gore,
Aye.
Robert Romer,
Aye.
Austin Groner,
Aye.
Michael Lau.
Aye.
The
Okay.
public hearing is closed.
I will make a motion to approve the removal of 40 feet of stone wall and 14 additional feet of stone wall on at 22 West Berlin Road, subject to the, sorry, Pam, the driveway plan.
Yeah,
Is that-
it's titled Driveway Plan prepared for Stephen Daly for West Berlin Road, prepared by David E. Ross Associates with a date of May 2024.
As stated by Pam.
Second.
Michael Gore,
Aye.
Robert Romer,
Aye.
Austin Groner,
Aye.
Michael Lau.
Aye.
Okay,
Okay.
the removal of the stone wall is approved by a unanimous vote of 4-0.
Okay,
All right,
thanks,
thank you very
Brandon.
much. All right,
Good luck
we'll
with the
see you guys.
property.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay, take care.
All right, you too. Bye.
Okay, next item of business is, sorry, let me pull up the agenda. The review of the OSRD workshop and additional comments from the workshop discussion. So again, Bob, thanks for organizing the workshop. It was definitely useful to see a lot of the different pictures, and it gives a good idea of what's possible with more cluster subdivision development. So Pam, Randall submitted an additional paragraph that we could potentially put into our Fosford language. That's what the section in red is.
Yeah, the grant, so just for your information, the grant has to be closed out by June 30th, and this was his final submission related to the Fosford piece of this.
Okay.
We still have one remote work session that we've extended into January or after, related more specifically to bylaw changes and town meeting warrant articles. So we have time to get that going until we conduct the additional public outreach.
Did we need to make a motion to approve this language, or is this was
No.
his product of the?
No, I just wanted to
Okay.
bring it to your attention. We do have to submit this to the state to close out the grant project. So this
Okay.
is the piece of information that will be provided documenting that we completed the work in accordance with the land use planning grant. So I wanted to make you aware and be sure that you had it for your review.
Okay, great. At the top of this one, the buildable, the minimum required open space was 50%. Is that what we have right now? I thought it was 33%.
No, right now we have, yeah, that's what we have right now.
Sorry,
had
wait, we have
This
33?
this document is his proposed changes that from the
Everything total. I see.
everything, right?
I
Yep.
see.
Yeah,
But
this
the
is
red-
changes on changes, right?
Yeah, the red is
Yes.
just what's been done since the workshop.
I see. I
Yep.
see. Okay. Thanks for the
I think it would-
clarification.
Yeah, I think it'd be useful I haven't had time to read through the whole thing, understand it in the final alleged form. So, good information. We have a ways to go.
And is this a fully new document or was it based on the existing one? Because at some point we'll need to kind of diff out the changes to say
I-
what anything we'd plan on doing.
Yeah, I think the changes were significant enough that in terms of town meeting, we would probably propose to delete what we have and replace it with new, just to
okay.
prevent the confusion of it, but
Yeah.
that's something we can decide as we move forward.
Anyone on the board kind of have comments on the workshop or any of the stuff that Randall went through?
I just wanted to say I really enjoyed the workshop. I learned a lot. One thing I think that we don't have that a lot of other towns I think do have, according to Randall, is an explicit list of priorities for what we should prioritize in terms of the space that we save. So, some towns, you go closer to Pennsylvania, they prize forests over fields and things like that. Up in New England, it's kind of the reverse. But I think maybe it's worth us having some explicit language about, the priorities of how to preserve the character of Bolton. So I'm not sure how to go about doing that. Maybe we can take a look at some examples around us
Mhm.
for that kind of language. But I think that could be something very small that we can do to, to take some action out of the workshop.
Is that part of master plan? Are they having prioritization of different parcels or anything like that, Bob? Or
No, I think the area that we ought to look at most quickly is what's coming out of recreation and open space, the plan that's well underway now, and they have done a lot of establishing what the criteria for priorities ought to be and a certain amount of prioritization already. So I think it'd be a great idea to get Rebecca, in all probability, to walk through where they are with that and what they've done and what they believe to be the priorities. And then certainly we can add on to that or endorse it or incorporate it.
I mean, for me, the biggest thing that came out of that workshop was we need to get a handle on sort of what's allowed for common septic and all that sort of stuff. I think so many of those other subdivisions, I mean, they benefit from having either, both public water or specifically public sewer, which I think makes their building so much easier to do. Whereas like that's like the big sticking point for us with all this.
But I
And
think
that, a lot of that's gonna be site specific and soil related, so we're gonna have
Definitely.
some difficulties with.
Well,
it.
and
there's a
I
lot
don't
of,
know if
I'm sorry, but
no, go ahead, Bob.
no, I think one of the things that I don't understand, having been out of it for quite a long time, is exactly what is allowed under sewer in particular, and the technologies that are currently being used, and the combined sewage approach, whether it's just 2 lots or multiple lots, package plants, that sort of thing. And I think it'd be a great idea to get together with the Board of Health and the Neshoba Regional Board of Health, and understand that, walk through under current regulations, which is almost entirely DEP and the Neshoba Regional Boards of Health criteria, and understand what's there already, and then figure out what else would have to be done in order to do some of the things that Randall has talked about.
Yeah, I mean, Pam, have you've spoken to Bill Brookings, right?
I have, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it would be good to like kind of run by him the sort of our thoughts about the cottage overlay and see if he has ideas about if there's language we should incorporate in. If he would even want to, come to one of our meetings at one point and we could sort of talk about, here are the problems that we face, and kind of like Bob said, maybe there are solutions available right now. Like I remember we did an A&R, we permitted something over on Main Street towards the Stowe line, and they were pumping the the pump tank to a leach field underneath the driveways. And I was like, oh, we haven't seen that before. Didn't know that was allowed. And Bill Brookings said, yeah, that's fine. You can do that. So, I mean, things like that, like I didn't even know. Um, so the first step would be to kind of like just, like having a chat with Bill maybe to understand what are the sorts of things we should think about and be looking into. And then, Bob, you're right, talk to the Board of Health. Because like, are they the ones who get involved? If we're permitting a subdivision, like a cottage overlay district, is it the Board of Health that they need to go to have that system installed, or is that fall under, Bill Brookings and the Neshoba district? Like all those sorts of questions. I just don't know how that stuff works.
Yeah, and my knee-jerk reaction is yes, it has to go to the Board of Health, but it's generally referred to Bill and Neshoba.
Well, it's gonna depend on the size. Certain things go
Right.
right to DEP, so you can do a shared system, which would go to the Board of Health in Neshoba for 10,000, up to 10,000 gallons. Anything over that goes to DEP. Of course, the Board of Health is involved and knows about it, but I think they lose jurisdiction once it gets to be that big of a system.
So,
So, I think it would be great to, Bill is the real knowledge base for all of this. And it would be very good to have him and, clearly a member or members of the Board of Health in that conversation. So, and maybe the way that we could do that is to provide him and them with the information that we're looking at, and then an outline of the number of things that need to be considered and where things currently stand and what might have to be changed, or understand better what the jurisdiction is and how we need to deal with that jurisdiction for the kind of things we're talking about here. So I think it's important that we provide what we're looking at, and then outline areas where we have questions and give them preparation to walk through the whole thing.
yeah, no, I agree with that. Pam, could you look into I always blank on the name of the 55 plus development over, is it Pondside? Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
I always want to call it Crystal Springs because that's what it was forever. So Pondside, that, like, do they have an on-site sewage treatment plant? Did we talk about this before? It'd be interesting to know
No,
what they're
I don't
doing
know.
there. I mean,
Okay.
that all went through 40B, so that I don't believe that ever came. It was before my time anyway, but it'd be interesting to know what they've done on that site. The one over on Sugar Road, I assume those houses are far enough apart that they have individual septics, but I don't know. So I mean, it'd be interesting to know if people already are doing things different in town that we could sort of consider. My fear again with if we rewrite the cottage bylaw and we put all this great stuff that we think people are going to do, and then they're like, yeah, the septic doesn't work for what you're trying to do, when someone actually goes and tries to build with it.
Oh, no, we better make sure that works.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I just don't remember us spending a lot of time on the septic part of it last time. I think we just said, yeah, it's private septic and, common private septic and water is probably what we said. But
We did also talk a little bit about maintenance of septic. I think there was a couple of discussions about that, so
Yeah.
like language and, bylaws for the cottage overlay or something, right?
Yep. Yep. And I mean that's kind of a broader point. Like I don't know in subdivision rules and regs, if we must call out sort of what do they call it, a OAM, the operations and maintenance plan for things like fire
stormwater.
cisterns and things like that. Like I imagine we have some sort of maintenance requirements for those.
Well, it's all under the homeowners association, I would think. And then,
So, but that goes back to we don't like
We
we
don't
don't
have anything on
require
that.
no.
yeah, we don't require someone to have an HOA. So I mean I agree with you that it does fall under that, but so a good example would be Goose Pond Path. They have a fire cistern there. And I don't know if they have an HOA, and I don't know how it's written in there, who's maintaining that. You know, I assume the fire department inspects that. They were the ones that scoped that system.
That actually was put on the open space parcel that was given ownership to the town. So the town owns it and has to maintain it now because it wasn't written into the HOA, and I don't think that's the preference moving
That's
forward.
not. So the
Yeah.
town owns that cistern?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, so we should get a better handle on that. Yeah, and I mean, I understand the fire department requires
Well, we
them
don't
to
own,
have
I'm
these
sorry,
things.
I shouldn't say we own it now, but actually, yes, we do own it because we took ownership of Open Space A. We didn't take ownership of the subdivision, but we did take ownership of that open space parcel.
Okay.
So yes, we own it. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. That's great information. I mean, those are sorts of things like I don't think we spent a lot of time considering sort of the after the fact who owns that sort of stuff. And again, I don't know if that's in our subdivision rules and regs where we just have to make that stuff more clear. I mean, I agree with you. Like the preference shouldn't be that we own the maintenance of that stuff forever. I think, you know, what I if we can do it, I would say that in our subdivision rules and regs, we should require any new subdivision to set up an HOA when they start. That way they at least have the framework in place for doing things like that, for paying to plow the driveway if the road isn't accepted, for maintaining the cistern if they have that.
Yeah, and if we're not going to require lots, if we're gonna allow multiple dwelling units on a shared piece of property, then it actually has to go in the zoning bylaw because subdivision may not be applicable.
I see what you, yeah. Sorry, I'm kind of conflating the cottage bylaw with just sort of regular subdivision rules. And it's just sort of all stuff that's kind of mushing together in my mind right now. But things that we should, things that I feel like we haven't spent a lot of time thinking about in the past.
But it would be,
I also had a brief conversation with Randy today about the long-term maintenance plans for the stormwater facilities and detention basins and that type of thing. And DPW just doesn't have the capacity to maintain them all. So we're going to look into ways of privatizing the maintenance requirements for that moving forward with new development. So we're looking to change the subdivision control regulations in discussion with the board, obviously, to require HOAs maintain and own those.
Yeah, that would be great. Now, are those systems a lot different than what's on like just a regular drain that they come through and clean out once a year, or is it because there's so many more of them in those?
Well, there's a lot of ponds associated with the subdivisions, which require mowing, cleaning of the riprap, removal of vegetation from the slopes, cleaning it of any accumulated sediment, which isn't too significant after construction's complete, but it does need to be inspected and removed periodically. After a while, sometimes the riprap, the earth will settle and vegetation and saplings will go through, and it can ruin the spillways. Swales have to be mowed. Catch basins have to be cleaned frequently. So there's a bit of maintenance required.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something we should look into. I like that.
But Mike, getting back to the phosphor plan, this suggested revisions, I think it'd be worthwhile going through in the context of what we did during the workshop with Randall and identifying all the things that are suggested in here in terms of water and sewer in particular. And then with that laundry list, sitting down with, or at least providing that to the Board of Health and to Bill Brookings, and then have a conversation about what's there, what can be done under current regulations, and what cannot be and needs to be addressed.
No, I think that would be a great next step to do.
That's, I think I'd like to do that. I can't do it right this minute, but over the next month or so, I'd certainly like to walk through this quite carefully, take a look at what recommendations Randall came up with, both in this as well as what was in the workshop exercise, and then come up with that list and run it by everybody in a meeting and before. And once we vet that, send it off to the relevant people.
Yep, I'm good with that.
I think we need to have a discussion first about the proposed density that's being allowed, and if we're gonna consolidate cottage bylaw and phosphorus into one bylaw, if we're gonna separate the two and do one as an overlay, only allowed in denser areas of town. We haven't really, Randall came up with some suggestions, I think, of 15,000 square foot lots, but our current, the way the bylaw is written, it doesn't really allow for multifamily or any sort of more than one dwelling unit on a lot. It's written very subdivision oriented. So I think we need to have a greater discussion on how we're going to allow development and what our plans are in terms of cottage overlay and the phosphor. And then once we have a better idea of the density and where we're going to allow what, then we can bring it to the Board of Health. I have
Yeah.
a feeling some of this is going to change quite a bit as we get into reviewing it in detail.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought about combining the phosphorus and the cottage overlay. That seems like a big lift. So yeah, we probably want to do those things separately. But I understand that they kind of work hand in hand. But we still have lots of smaller developments that just use phosphorus that wouldn't have anything to do with cottage overlay.
But, at this point, I sort of differ on that one, that we don't have a cottage overlay at this point. And were we to have a cottage overlay and a different type of phosphorus, I think it gets very complicated. And since the objective of the two of them are remarkably similar, other than where they would be located, which is an interesting point, which is important to the cottage overlay, but I think phosphorus as well. It would be very nice to integrate the two into a much more streamlined approach. Rather than.
So you mean just kind of have density bonuses within the phosphorus?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
Yeah, I mean,
and
I'm
that
open
brings
to.
up big
Sorry, go
issue.
ahead. Yeah. No, I'm open to however it's easiest and simplest to present to people and what's most likely to pass. Definitely.
Yeah,
just-
and the cottage overlay requires additional work on the zoning side, right? If everything can be integrated into the phosphorus, density bonuses and all, I think that might be the quickest solution, right?
Yeah. I think the density bonus discussion during Randall's presentation was, to me anyway, very, very important. And that certainly is the advantage that would be given to developers to start developing smaller houses, more of them and more thoughtfully.
Yeah, and that was always the plan with
And
with cottage overlay was to make something that a developer actually wanted to, wanted to build and would build. So. Okay, well, I mean, this is all, I think this is what a lot of the fall will probably take up, is kind of figuring the stuff out and going through it. But it's great that we had the workshop with Randall. I'm I'm happy that we'll be able to kind of tap into him when we sort of consolidate further on what the bylaws are going to look like later on. Like, that'll be useful to have his eyes on that as well. So I think, yeah, altogether that was it was a great workshop, and Bob, thanks again for setting that up.
Welcome, and thank the state too.
Yeah. If there's no other discussion on just kind of the review of the workshop,
I'll send out the Google link again. We did start reviewing and commenting on Randall's recommendations through the Google Drive. So I'll send out an updated link with these incorporated revisions in red, and then his recommendations on the cottage bylaw too, and we can start looking at it and determine how we want to proceed. If we definitely want to combine them, or if we take a more detailed look at them and decide that they're better separated and pursue a different one. So I'll get that out to you tomorrow.
Okay, thanks, Pam. So for the rest of the summer, the plan is one meeting in July, one meeting in August. Pam had July 17th. I don't remember if we discussed that in the last meeting, but after talking with Pam, it sounds like the 24th would work better for you, Pam, for some of the submission stuff.
Yeah, we have two filings, one for, we have to do a site plan for the high school, and the other is a common driveway for 3 single-family homes at 25 Forbush Mill Road. So we just need, the additional week would allow for better preparation for the meeting.
So that would put us at July 24th. Does that work for everybody? I'm okay with that.
Works for me.
Yeah, it looks like it works for me.
Okay, well, let's plan on July 24th as the next meeting then. We can schedule an August meeting now, Pam, or we can wait until that July meeting and see sort of what makes sense based on what you got. Do you want to do that?
I know Bob and I have talked with the master plan committee about possibly presenting the master plan, a summary of the master plan to the board in August. It does require that you endorse the plan through MGL. So we were hoping to get that on in the meeting in August.
So yeah, I mean, 14th or 21st, I'm fine with either of those dates. Again, we don't need to decide this tonight unless that's something you want to get on the books right now, Pam.
I think, Bob, what do you think? The 21st would put us in a little bit better of shape.
Yeah, in view of the fact that I'm organizing a significant portion of the Bolton Fair, yes, it could be much better.
Yeah, just to give you an update on that, where the master plan steering committee is meeting tomorrow evening, hopefully to receive the final endorsement of the committee and distribute it as their final document to the town.
Awesome.
Yeah, the final write-up looked very good.
Yeah.
That's great.
Planning on doing a slideshow presentation to the planning board, get your blessing, and then hopefully to the select board following our presentation to you.
Okay, so we'll tentatively plan on August 21st for the August meeting.
Yep, I would appreciate that. I'm sure Pam would.
Yeah.
Okay, so our next meeting will be July 24th. That's a Wednesday, 7 o'clock. And
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Okay,
Second thoughts?
No, I have I have pink concert tickets for August 21st. I didn't realize it's that same evening.
well, and it doesn't have to be a Wednesday. I mean, that's the
Okay.
beauty of virtual meetings.
Yeah, I
If
mean, hey, we don't want to get in the middle of that concert. Come on.
I'm bringing my
Um,
daughter, so
Oh, even worse.
no, I'm flexible on whenever we meet. So again, I mean, it can
okay.
be Tuesday or Thursday that week if that works for people as well.
Tuesdays are better for me.
Tuesday works for me.
Sorry about that.
Okay, well, no worries. Okay, so that
All right,
was
I'll do a poll and see if we can get everyone there because I think it's important all planning board members are able to attend.
well. And do you need the entire master plan there as well? So,
I don't
or is
think
it
they're all planning to attend, but I think we want to give them the option.
okay?
They put a lot of
But-
work into it over the last 4 years.
So you guys figure out what works best for you, and we'll make it work from the planning board side.
Sounds good. Thank
Okay.
you.
Any other business that people want to talk about?
Oh, so we just reported the master plans wrapping up. We had the Derby Field MVP meeting, which we got it was pretty good attendance. We had about 15 people. We received some good input. The plans are currently being revised. They'll be done by hopefully the end of this week. Well, they have to be done by the end of this week, and we'll submit that to the state. We're still awaiting grant review on the grant application for the phase 2 construction. So that's moving forward. And then we're also finalizing the open space and recreation plan revisions, and we've scheduled a public meeting to review a draft of the plan for July 16th. I'll get those notices out to you when I get a hold of them.
Pam, what's the status of the high school site plan for which I understand we're responsible to review?
Yep, we said we were gonna schedule that for the next meeting in July. That's one of the reasons why I asked for an additional week, because we're still coordinating some peer review things. So July 24th, that'll be the public hearing.
Okay,
They were delayed in getting us a butters list and an application in, as well as the filing fee. I think we received it on June 20th, so we haven't had a full application in our hands for that long of a period of time.
what is the status of the design documents? Can we take a look at those?
Sure, I can get them posted. It's an official filing.
Yeah, that I think would be useful. That's
Mhm.
going to be a fairly significant effort, I think.
And after that site review, what's the timeline look like on that project? Have they discussed that?
Yes, they have discussed it. It's going to be done in phases with some temporary construction of parking lots and stormwater facilities. So it's a pretty significant construction project.
And phase 1 is a very, very important part of the site plan review, is it not?
Well, phase 1 is the geothermal wells that they're installing, as far as I'm aware,
Okay,
which really didn't require planning board review, but it did go forward to the Conservation Commission. And then, so the next phase for the temporary construction would be pretty significant. Yes.
right. That's
Yeah.
what I was referring to.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, that's remarkable. They're doing geothermal for the new building.
Yes.
yes.
Yeah, I didn't
Wow,
know that. That's great.
How many boreholes are they going to be drilling? Must be quite a bit.
I'm not aware. I can ask. The plans are with the Conservation Commission, so I can check on that and let you know.
And the design of the building has an enormous amount of insulation and thoughtful HVAC as well, so.
Are they also doing solar? I know the Harvard Elementary School, I think they, the new elementary school has quite a bit of solar on the roof.
I don't know. Yeah.
Don't know. I don't recall seeing solar panels, but I don't know that for sure.
All right, well, we'll look for that link to those docs. Anything else that people want to discuss? Hearing none, I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
All in favor signify by saying aye.
I.
Aye. Okay, have a good night, everyone. We'll
Yeah.
see you July, what did we say? July
24th.
24th. Okay, have a great summer
Right.
and we'll talk to you then.
All right,
Great.
thank you.
thanks.
Have a good
Bye,
night.
Yep.
everyone.